Coal mines and quarries are often places where mysterious objects are discovered. The age of such artifacts can sometimes be hundreds of millions of years. In this video, I invite you to learn about the most incredible finds discovered in coal mines. Enjoy watching. In 1925, a small fossilized skull was found in a coal mine in England. Later, it was identified as belonging to one of the ancient ray-finned fish species. These fish lived on Earth over 319 million years ago. Judging by the size of the skull, their body length was about 15 to 20 centimeters, and the structure of their jaws indicated that they were predators, likely feeding on small crustaceans and mollusks. All this time, the fossil of the ancient fish was kept in a museum, and several times scientists borrowed it for research. However, it wasn't until last year that biologists made a sensational discovery. It turned out that the fish's brain had been well preserved inside the skull. This was discovered through computed tomography. This find has allowed paleontologists to learn more about the evolution of ray-finned fish brains. It is now known that the brains of modern ray-finned fish grow in a unique way during the embryonic stage. The front layer of cells folds inside out. For all other vertebrates, brain development occurs differently, with the walls simply bulging out. It remains unclear when exactly ray-finned fish acquired this trait and how it influenced their evolutionary success. Scientists believe that the unique inversion of the brain began to manifest in the distant ancestors of these fish, although the specimen found in the English mine did not yet possess this trait. This finding once again demonstrated the role of evolution in animal adaptation to environmental changes. This discovery is also unique because previously, paleontologists had not managed to find soft tissues that had survived for millions of years. In a coal mine in Colombia, workers found fossilized remains of a turtle shell that was so large it was the size of a smart car. The find was passed on to scientists for further study, revealing that it belonged to an ancient species known as Carbonomys coffrini, also called the coal turtle. The age of the find is estimated at about 60 million years. Relatives of coal turtles existed during the time of the dinosaurs, but those were much smaller in size. The first giant specimens of coal turtles appeared approximately 5 million years after the dinosaurs went extinct. During this same period, other giant animals, such as the massive snake Titanoboa, also existed. Scientists believe the gigantism among animals at the time was due to a series of ecosystem changes, including a decrease in predators, lack of competition, and abundant food. Ancient coal turtles, unlike their modern relatives, could quickly consume large quantities of varied food due to their powerful, massive jaws. The site where the giant shell was found is part of the Sarajevo Formation, and other ancient turtle remains have been found there before. However, those specimens were not as large as this one. In 2016, at the Sarail coal mine in Krasnoyarsk Krai, Russia, unusual stone spheres were found at a depth of around 40 meters. These spheres were called Jurassic pearls due to their almost perfectly spherical shape and smooth surface. They are incredibly hard. An excavator bucket couldn't even break them. The spheres vary in size, with an average diameter of about 1 meter. 10 stones were brought to the surface for study by scientists. Because these spheres had an unusual property of changing shades and possessed an almost perfect shape, some people speculated that they could be evidence of an ancient unknown civilization. However, Olga Yakunina, head of the Central Siberia Geology Museum's exhibit department, explained that such geological formations are called concretions. They form similarly to pearls. Small stones become encased in sandstone, cemented over time into large spherical rocks. Scientists found that these spheres date back to the Jurassic period, about 145 million years ago. At that time, much of western Siberia was covered by an ocean. The stones belong to iron-manganese concretions, formed around organic remains like shells or algae, which later became covered with sedimentary rocks. The cementation process was aided by manganese and iron compounds present in the water. Under pressure, these concretions became very hard stones. It is worth noting that the formation of concretions takes an incredibly long time. They grow at an average rate of about 1 centimeter per million years. In 2012, miners working in a mine near the village of Kostolac, Serbia, made a chance discovery at a depth of around 20 meters. They found the remains of very large animals. Paleontologists who arrived at the scene confirmed that the bones belonged to woolly mammoths. After extended excavations, scientists found several more mammoth remains, with a total of 6 mammoth fossils discovered at this site. The age of the find is about 12,000 years. Research of the bones showed that the mammoths stood about 4 meters tall at the shoulder, and their tusks were up to 3 meters long. These were quite large individuals. But what brought 6 mammoths to this particular place? Scientists suggest that thousands of years ago, there might have been a watering hole here. However, the reason all the animals died remains a mystery. Mammoths lived on Earth for a very long time, from the Pliocene, 5 million years ago, until the beginning of the Holocene. They went extinct around 4,000 years ago, mainly due to climate change and human hunting. Of course, paleontologists regularly discover mammoth remains, but cemeteries with bones from more than 5 individuals are quite rare, making this find very valuable to scientists. In the summer of 2023, an archaeological monument estimated to be about 700,000 years old was discovered in a Greek coal mine located in the Megalopolis Plain. Notably, this place is closely tied to ancient Greek myths about an ancient race of giants who fought against the Olympian gods. Archaeologists had previously found many ancient artifacts here, but none as old as the most recent discovery. Excavations at Megalopolis have been ongoing for more than 5 years, but it was only recently that scientists decided to explore an abandoned coal mine, and as it turned out, it was worth it. Inside, they discovered primitive tools, and dating revealed the shocking age of the find. Scientists believe that around 700,000 years ago, this site was a hominid settlement. It is likely that these tools were used for hunting animals, processing carcasses, and working with wood and hides. Besides tools, remains of extinct animal species were also found here. Most importantly, this archaeological monument turned out to be the oldest hominid settlement in Greece. If you think that scientists know all the dinosaur species by now, you are mistaken. In 2013, during an investigation of an abandoned coal mine near the town of Areno in Spain, the remains of 2 individuals belonging to a previously unknown dinosaur species were discovered. This was certainly a sensational find for scientists, so the bones were immediately sent to experts for further study. The new species was named Uropelta carbonensis. Initially, scientists thought it belonged to the ankylosaur group of dinosaurs, but these individuals had several features not characteristic of that group. Specifically, ankylosaurs typically had a triangular-shaped skull, whereas these dinosaurs had a round one. In addition, Uropelta had a curved pelvis, which was unusual for ankylosaurs. It was later revealed that these individuals actually belonged to nodosaurs, a group of herbivorous dinosaurs. Like other nodosaurs, Uropelta had a body covered with a durable, scaly armor. Through dating the remains, experts also determined that these individuals inhabited what is now Spain about 113 million years ago, making these fossils the oldest nodosaur remains ever found in Europe. Interestingly, several other dinosaur remains belonging to completely new, previously unknown species have been found in Spain over the past 20 years. One of the main achievements in organometallic chemistry has been the creation of metal-organic frameworks, known as MOFs. MOFs are a class of hybrid, highly porous materials whose lattice structure consists of metal ions or small clusters connected by organic linkers. To date, scientists have synthesized more than 27,000 different MOFs. Due to their porous structure, They can be used as containers to hold molecules of various substances, such as hydrogen or other chemical elements. In addition, metal organic structures can store medicinal substances and are therefore often used in medicine. The application of MOFs depends directly on the modification of the material. Previously, all of these framework structures were created by chemists, and it was thought that such materials did not exist in nature. But as it turned out, this was a misconception. Quite recently, in Siberia, a material resembling the structure of metal organic frameworks was found at a depth of about 40 meters. This discovery was truly sensational, as it suggests that nature has long created what humans are only now learning to invent. I think many of you find encounters with spiders and millipedes quite unpleasant. Millipedes do indeed look rather terrifying, including a new species discovered by British biologists. It is not without reason that this species was named the Mery Monster. In 2017, British biologists visited the abandoned Mery coal mine in Wales to study the invertebrate fauna living there. They found nothing new except for the millipede in question. The most surprising thing is that no new species of these invertebrates had been found in the UK since 1993. The closest relatives of this monster live on the Pyrenean Islands, so scientists were puzzled as to how these insects ended up in the UK. It is likely that their larvae arrived in one of the shipments of imported industrial goods. Although the monsters are actually not dangerous to humans and are not gigantic in size, they still look extremely unpleasant. Their bodies are covered with shiny brown chitin, their legs appear almost transparent, and they have two antennae on their heads that resemble those of ants. Initially, biologists thought that this species had been known before, but after several studies, it became clear that it was completely new. Coal mines can contain a variety of ancient artifacts of both natural and man-made origin. However, it turns out that coal mines can also contain a fossilized tropical forest that once grew in the area. Such a find was made in 2017 in a coal mine in Illinois. At a depth of about 100 meters, miners discovered a true fossilized prehistoric forest, estimated to be around 300 million years old. But how could a forest end up at such a depth? Scientists believe that this might have been caused by a large earthquake that caused part of the land to sink below sea level. But before the vegetation turned into peat and later coal, it managed to leave its imprint. Thanks to these imprints, scientists have learned about previously unknown plants that have long been extinct, as well as gained invaluable knowledge about the ancient ecosystem and how it changed over millions of years. The Earth's age is approximately 4.54 billion years. Just imagine how it feels to hold objects in your hands that are only 1.5 billion years younger than our planet. This is the case with the amazing small spheres known as the Clerks Dorp spheres. These unusual spherical and disc-shaped objects, featuring longitudinal grooves and indentations, were discovered in a mine near the town of Clerks Dorp, South Africa. They looked very strange, so the workers handed them over to scientists. Research revealed that the spheres are composed of hematite, wollastonite, and pyrite. But the most astonishing finding was that they are over 3 billion years old. This discovery became a real sensation and attracted the attention of supporters of pseudoscientific theories. They believe that this find is not a geological formation, but a man-made object, serving as direct evidence that advanced civilizations lived on our planet billions of years ago. Of course, these theories have no evidence, while scientists have long provided all the results of their research, which, on the contrary, prove the natural origin of the spheres. The story of this unusual artifact, which continues to raise many questions, began in 1961 when three friends, Mike Mikesell, Wallace Lane, and Virginia Maxey, set out into the Coso Mountains in California in search of unusual rocks and minerals. These people were experienced jade hunters, looking for stones containing semi-precious gems that could be put up for sale. This time, the friends found a completely different stone, one that did not resemble jade, but was still taken back with them. Upon returning home, they attempted to cut open their find to see what was inside. This took far longer than usual. Inside the mysterious stone, the friends discovered a white, round object made of a material resembling ceramic, with a 2 mm metal rod in the center, which reacted to a magnet. There were also 2 other objects inside the stone, resembling a nail and a washer, and the outer surface had a hexagonal shape. The stone was covered in pearly shells. Virginia Maxey took the mysterious object to a geologist acquaintance, who examined it, and based on the thickness of the shell layer, estimated the artifact to be at least 500,000 years old. A few years later, the stone was studied by creationist Ron Calais. X-ray images captured people's attention, and researchers began putting forward hypotheses about the purpose of the mechanism. The most interesting hypothesis was suggested by Info magazine editor Paul Willis, who believed that all the elements inside the stone resembled a spark plug. This was certainly shocking, and could have served as proof that an advanced civilization existed on Earth 500,000 years ago. While it is hard to believe, the Kozo artifact remains one of the most enigmatic among all discovered artifacts. In June 1891, the Morrisonville Times published a note about an amazing find by Mrs. Culp. Early in the morning, she began breaking coal for her stove. In one of the pieces, she found a gold chain, about 25 centimeters long. The chain was arranged in a circle inside the coal, and since the piece split almost in the middle, the center of the chain was freed, while its ends remained within the coal. Mrs. Culp found the decoration to be quite ancient, so she decided to report her find. Upon examining the unusual chain, it was found that it weighed 192 grams and was made of 8-carat gold. Specialists also confirmed that the artifact had been inside the coal for a very long time, specifically since the time the coal had formed. It should be noted that fossil coal on our planet formed from spores and parts of the epidermis of various plants about 350 million years ago. This means that the chain is approximately the same age, but at that time, even hominids did not exist on Earth. So where did this artifact come from? And more importantly, who made it? Unfortunately, there is no answer to this question. Some people, however, believe that this out-of-place artifact, like others of its kind, is direct evidence that advanced civilizations lived on our planet hundreds of millions of years ago. Perhaps one day, humanity will be able to obtain information about these races. The Saltsburg Cube is one of the most mysterious natural formations ever found. The story of this stone began in 1885, when workers at a mine in Wolfsegg am Hausruck, Austria, discovered it inside a piece of coal. The find seemed strange even to those who found it, so the workers handed it over to the Carolino Augustinum Museum in Salzburg. 10 years after the discovery of this mysterious object, it attracted the attention of mining engineer Adolf Gerlt. He was impressed by the unusual relief of the stone, which featured numerous indentations. Gerlt had seen many things in the mountains, but this object was unique, so he made arrangements with the museum staff and took it for further study. During his examination of the stone, Gerlt suggested that it might have a meteoritic origin. However, the stone lacked traces of melting that appear on all meteorite fragments after passing through Earth's atmosphere. Moreover, Gerlt did not find elements such as cobalt, nickel, or chromium in the stone's composition. He then passed the find on to scientists, who determined that its age could range from 66 to 2.5 million years, but they could not explain the origin of this mysterious object. After the public learned about the Saltsburg Cube, American writer Charles Fort suggested that this artifact might have been created by ancient or extraterrestrial civilizations. This theory gained followers, but evidence supporting it has yet to be found. The Saltsburg Cube is now kept in the Municipal Museum near where it was found, and its origins remain a mystery. In 2011, a former Wall Street banker named Randall Atkins bought a mine outside of Sheridan, Wyoming. Initially, the businessman planned to mine coal for further sale to power plants. However, as it turned out, Atkins was quite lucky, and the mine contained more than just coal. After studies conducted in the mine by geologists from Weir International Inc., it was discovered that the mine also contained rare earth elements. These elements were present in substances different from the usual solid igneous rocks typically mined for rare elements. Therefore, Atkins's mine was classified as an unconventional rare earth deposit. Today, it is the largest such deposit in the United States, valued at $37 billion, even though Atkins bought it for $2 million. Rare earth elements are incredibly valuable in various fields of manufacturing. They are particularly used in the production of batteries and specialized glass that allows infrared rays to pass through while absorbing ultraviolet light. Previously, the United States had to buy such elements from China, but this discovery has expanded the country's capabilities. Not far from the Australian city of Newcastle, locals noticed continuous smoke emerging from underground. It turned out that the cause was an underground fire in the abandoned 123-year-old Claravale Mine. This mine was built in 1893. In the 1930s, at its peak, more than 1,200 people worked there. However, mining gradually decreased, and the mine was closed in 1966. When firefighters arrived at the scene, they found that the underground fire had been burning for over a year. Most likely, the fire's epicenter was two former ponds filled with mine waste. Initially, rescuers tried to deal with the situation and extinguish the fire. However, it became apparent that further efforts could lead to a ground collapse, which could be deadly. For this reason, it was decided to cease firefighting attempts and simply wait. Underground fires in coal mines are relatively rare. They often occur when a coal seam or waste begins to smolder for some reason. The situation is much worse if peat is involved in the smoldering. Such underground fires are known in China, the United States, and other countries and can last for decades. In the 1950s, an unusual mutant cockroach was found in a coal mine in Glamorgan, UK. At first glance, it did not differ from American cockroaches, but upon closer examination, differences were found not only in its appearance, but also in its behavior. The mutant cockroach's main features were its white eyes and very long, thick antennae. Initially, scientists thought that this insect was blind, but that turned out not to be the case. Additionally, this cockroach exhibited very aggressive behavior towards its kind. It would push them and try to keep them at a distance. When the cockroach was first found, biologists thought it was just an individual that had undergone a mutation. However, it turned out to be a new species of cockroach. More than 50 years after the discovery of this insect, 6 individuals of the white-eyed mutant were found at the Addolorata Cemetery in Malta. Later, such cockroaches were also found in the UK. Interestingly, scientists had not encountered this species before the 1950s. It is quite possible that these cockroaches indeed arose due to a mutation in the British mine, but how they ended up in Malta remains a mystery. Helicoprion are among the most unusual predatory fish species that ever lived on our planet. This is primarily because of their peculiar lower jaw structure, which puzzled scientists for a long time. Recently, a fossil of Helicoprion was discovered in a coal mine in the Volgograd region of Russia. In fact, this is not the only find of remains of these fish, but none of the previous finds, except the latest one, could help scientists solve the mystery of Helicoprion. The problem was that all fossils of these fish had an enigmatic spiral with traces resembling teeth. Scientists could not determine for a long time which part of the body this spiral belonged to. Some believed it was located inside the fish's mouth, while others assumed it was something akin to a trunk. Finally, the latest find helped scientists resolve this mystery. It turns out that the spiral was located deep within the lower jaw, allowing the fish to continuously replace its teeth and grow throughout its life. Moreover, This spiral could unfold forward during a sudden closing of the jaws, helping Helicoprion more efficiently handle its prey. Yes, it sounds strange, but many prehistoric animals had rather peculiar features, especially compared to modern inhabitants of our planet. In 1912, Frank Kennard, an employee at the Thomas Power Plant in Oklahoma, broke open a large piece of coal and found a mysterious artifact inside, an iron pot. It may seem like there is nothing extraordinary about a simple metal vessel. However, further research into this object provided irrefutable evidence that Kennard had discovered an out-of-place artifact, something that should not exist, but somehow does. During the study of the pot, scientists determined that it was made of cast iron, a material made by alloying iron with carbon. It is worth noting that this durable material first appeared in China between the 5th and 6th centuries BCE. Next, scientists needed to determine the age of the find. They noticed that there was a deep imprint of the pot preserved in the piece of coal, suggesting that the object had been inside for such a long time that the coal continued to form around it. Taking a sample of the coal, the scientists proceeded to date it. The results of this study shocked everyone. It turned out that the coal was approximately 312 million years old. Of course, scientists refused to believe that the pot had been made more than 300 million years ago, as this would mean rewriting all of human history. The pot certainly exists. There is a note from Frank Kennard about its discovery in the Wilburton mines, and the age of the coal in which it was found was accurately determined. These facts are enough to consider the find genuine, but scientists have preferred not to speculate about the pot's origin. It is currently kept in the Creation Evidence Museum in Glen Rose, Texas. In 1889, during the drilling of a well in Nampa, Idaho, one of the workers discovered a mysterious artifact that continues to spark debate to this day. At a depth of about 100 meters, amidst clay layers, a clay figurine depicting a woman was found. When the workers picked up the figurine, they were very surprised. It was clearly handmade, not formed by natural forces. But who made it, and how could it end up at such a depth? It is unlikely that anyone would dig a 100-meter hole just to hide it as a hoax. In 1912, the figurine ended up in the hands of John Wright, who was so interested in this artifact that he dedicated many years of his life to studying it. Wright began by showing the figurine to his scientist acquaintances. Professor Putnam noticed the reddish stains covering the artifact, which were identified as iron oxide, meaning the figurine had indeed been underground for a long time. The authenticity of the artifact was also confirmed by George Cumming. Given that the object was found in deep layers formed during the Pliocene-Pleistocene interval, its age should be about 2 million years. This is sensational because there should not have been intelligent humans capable of making such a figurine at that time. So, who could have created it? Several theories have been proposed, including those about an ancient advanced civilization, aliens, and natural miracles. However, none of these can be verified, as the artifact was unfortunately lost. On June 5, 1852, the popular science magazine Scientific American published an article reporting that during an explosion at Meeting House Hill, located in the Dorchester area of Massachusetts, a mysterious metallic object resembling a vase was thrown to the surface along with rock. The find was reported anonymously. According to the anonymous source, the artifact was found inside a rock that had split in half. After cleaning, the two halves were put together to form a bell-shaped vase, slightly over 11 centimeters tall. The anonymous reporter also stated that the vase was made of metal resembling silver, its walls decorated with 6 bouquets, and the base bore a pattern resembling a wreath. The vase looked fantastically beautiful, and since it was found deep inside the rock, which dated back to the Precambrian era, its age could be as much as 600 million years. Of course, there were no humans at that time. Moreover, our planet was not yet abundant in flora and fauna, and its inhabitants were mostly eukaryotic organisms and trilobites. So who could have created this magnificent vase? Scientists believe that the Dorchester find is no more than a hoax, since similar vases were made in the 19th century. However, it remains unclear how the vase ended up with images of plants that disappeared more than 100,000 years ago. In this photograph, you see people who experienced a creepy and mystical story. During their descent into an abandoned mine, they noticed strange objects imprinted in the rock. When they began studying them, it became clear that treasures were hidden in the mine, various decorations and dishes. According to these individuals, all of the treasures appeared ancient, yet the technology used to create them seemed close to modern. They told their colleagues about their discovery, but asked them not to report it to archaeologists. The scariest part of this story happened a week after the discovery of the artifacts. The men's colleagues reported that they stopped showing up for work, even though they had no previous history of absenteeism. Even worse, the family members of the missing men also didn't know where they had gone. When other people descended into the mine, there were no treasures. The events can only be explained by two versions. Either the men discovered the treasures of spirits and paid the price for it, or they simply took the artifacts for themselves and fled to avoid punishment. And that's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon. Your support is the best reward for me. Thank you for watching. See you soon. Goodbye.